This is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Faulk. Thanks for watching. Progress is gaining momentum, if slowly. We in Humboldt County this week have dropped out of the most severe purple tier and are firmly in the red. This lowered caution level allows for increased commerce throughout the region, including the opening of restaurants for indoor dining, as well as gyms, museums, and even movie theaters, though at drastically reduced numbers of people allowed. This is good news, though it's not the first time we've made such progress. One of the worst aspects of this pandemic for businesses has been the unpredictability of such moves. For months, we've made considerable progress that at various times was stunted in the face of this or that COVID surge, which forced area businesses to once again curtail or even close their operations. Such a roller coaster environment does not translate into keeping employees trained and ready, nor into an environment conducive for planning and budgeting. This time, however, county officials are hopeful that given the still accelerating deployment of vaccines, the lack of major family holidays, widespread masking, and other public health responses, we may well be on the downward slope for good. One notable sign of progress this week, Eureka City Schools has begun the process of reopening its campuses. The plan for the moment apparently is to break kids up into separate cohorts that will alternate attendance in 2-week intervals. When kids are not attending in-class sessions, they'll be attending remotely, as they've been doing for most of this school year. The return of school will ultimately free some workers up from providing childcare at home and allow them to once again seek work and enter the job market. We'll have to wait and see if the jobs will be there waiting for them. All this progress has been made with just 2 vaccines, but today the FDA approved the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which could begin delivery as soon as next week. The increased vaccine supply will only help authorities further control the outbreak and work to outrun evolving strains that threaten to render our vaccines less effective. We're finally hitting a workable stride. With luck and continued focus of Americans near and far, high and low, a healthy future seems to be within our grasp. Now, the interview. Over the past several years, America has witnessed a remarkable flexing of women's political power. Starting with the Women's March in 2017 and through the 2018 midterms and 2020, women have exercised political will and influence like never before. Coming up early next month, Playhouse Arts will honor women and their power and their artistic expression during the Zero to Fierce Festival, a virtual gathering that combines art and other activities in celebrating womanhood. Tonight we have Jacqueline Dandenea and Lara Muñoz from Playhouse Arts to talk about the festival and the ongoing struggle for equity. Ladies, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for joining us on the Zoom machine. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be.
So let's first start off with the basics. What is the Zero to Fierce Festival, and what purpose do you think it serves in the community?
This is the 5th year of the Zero to Fierce Festival, and it started as a way to celebrate all the amazing women we have in our community. So it started out as creative women, artisans, artists, audience, speakers, people who are doing amazing things, women who are doing some amazing things, as a way to highlight them in our community. Not in any way to be exclusive or say men aren't doing cool things, but at this moment we're celebrating women, and we're celebrating what those women do in our community. So that's the genesis of the festival. And I started it right at the same time that the Michigan Women's Festival folded, which was a huge national festival. And it felt like we needed to have that happen, and just to be able to say, these are some really groovy things that are going on right where we live.
Yeah.
So that's what it started with.
Now, there seems to be a connection between, artistic expression and the struggle for equity and power and politics and that sort of thing. What do you think is that connection, and why do you think it's important for people to be able to express themselves artistically to help achieve equity?
Well, there's an old saying that says, if you want to kill the revolution, kill the artists. So I don't suggest
Amen.
Either of those things.
Yeah, that's right.
But, the arts and artists are huge thinkers and dreamers and believers in humanity and love and who we are as people, and how we can imagine and build empathy for others. What would you say about that, Laura?
Yeah.
Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the building of empathy is a huge thing. And also, artists are doers. So we like to talk and we do talk, but it's in the action of doing something, be it a dance, a piece of theater, a painting, a song, anything. And it is through art that one is, hopefully the audience, the receiver of that, is moved, and you can place yourself in outside of your own limits of your own body, or you can wear somebody else's shoes. So empathy is a huge thing, I think, that connects politics and art and make it go forward.
Yeah. Now, as an artist, it seems to me that you lie at some intersections. I mean, obviously, I sense that you're Hispanic and that you're obviously involved in equity issues with the Women's Festival here. How does that serve your art, and how does it inform what you're trying to communicate to other people?
You mean the festival?
Yeah.
How does the festival?
Well, how does your perspective inform
My
your
perspective.
participation in? Yeah.
Right. I think in at the most basic level is just the presence. And so bringing myself, embodying without thinking about it. So I like to, like I said, of course, I like to form myself intellectually, but it's not my choice to share these concepts, these ideas through just the words. But what does it mean to want equality or equity? So let's do an installation. Let's invite people of color and put their art in public spaces, so that we inhabit, we as in everybody, not just white people, white men, but we all inhabit our community, and we are more visible and more audible. So we are more seen. We are more. We are part of the community and not just guests or an accident or something different than.
Yeah, Jackie, when we were talking just prior to the show, you were talking about how women often in their day-to-day lives feel like they're not heard. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, that's a yeah, that's a broad statement, so to speak. Haha.
Oh, ouch.
I think it's a generalization to say women aren't heard, because I think women are heard, and there are definitely things that women affect change on, and
Absolutely.
oftentimes that change and that ability where they are heard is different than at the front of the pack. A lot of work that women traditionally have done is a silent, quiet building of power. I mean, look at Stacey Abrams in Georgia. That was
Absolutely.
not something that came about in a flash in a pan or a sign on a yard. It was built over, 10 years of building that momentum. And I think that is a particularly um, feminine way, or alternate way of building that movement. And so that's part of what the quality of Zero to Fierce is.
Mm-hmm.
It's talking about women, and by women we're inclusive. That's what the X in the women is about inclusion of women and people who identify as women. So how we are as humans from zero to fierce. Our activism is from zero to fierce. And sometimes the activism of standing up and saying, hey, I believe I was in line before you, is an act of extreme activism for someone, as is the same of someone who lays down or chains themselves to a tree. So it's embracing that there are all levels of activism and all levels of people, and how we communicate and how we listen and how we hear are the most important parts of Zero to Fierce. It's being there to listen to people
Yeah, that's
and to hear their point of view.
that's
Yeah, and
powerful.
so art, I think, coming back around to the work of the artist, is a lot of those ideas are allowed to seep in because they're not confrontational, because they're not coming at you, or where you feel like you have to speak against it. You can hear it and you can walk away and you can absorb it, whether it is music, whether it is dance, whether it is art, whatever, visual art. whatever that visual art is, it's like it allows you to hear it in a different way, and to actually listen,
Yeah.
to actually listen. So you don't, yeah, well, yeah, you can say that, but I, that you actually listen to what that is. And I think that's a huge part of who we are as humans, that builds all those things,
Yeah.
is listening.
Now, one of the things we were talking about prior to the show as well was that this event offers people an opportunity not only to come and experience the festival, but also to support your organization. Can we talk a little bit about how COVID has impacted the group and how this could help?
Well, we have not been open since last March. And so we've been, trying to figure out where we fit and how we can do what we do as, performers. We have been doing art installations and things. A lot of this festival, quite frankly, is free. There's an all access pass where you can come and your kids can come to storytelling sessions. There's crafting sessions. There's food sessions that are free. There's movies that are free. There are a handful of ticketed events. One is we've supported local women caterers and restaurateurs, that we are giving them the lunchbox. They receive all of the funds from the Lunchbox Festival. So trying to get some of that money back into the hands of women who are food artisans. And then we have this event on Saturday that is a paid event, the Alison Russell concert. She's one of the 12 women to watch for from Rolling Stone.
Wow.
So she
That's
is
cool.
a paid event on the Saturday. She's amazing. She's with Po Girl, Our Native Daughters, and Birds of Chicago. That's where she comes from. And so, and the 1 minute dances, we are charging for 1 minute dances on the Friday night. So sort of three sections that are paid for. I guess we have beer tasting too, is charging, but most of it is free, and we're really trying to give back to the community because, quite frankly, the community has been very, very generous to us in this time. And for me, I mean, it gets me kind of all warm and fuzzy and almost, teary, because the community has been so generous, even at a time when we're not putting forth what we usually put forth. There was a huge surge of support for us. And so while we haven't had any earned income, and it's about 90% down from last year, we are able to offer these things to the community for free because of the assets and the support that the community in turn, who can afford to give us help, has given us help. So for me, it's the perfect blend of the funnel coming in and going out. So there are so many free events. Of 55 events, 4 of them perhaps are charged.
Wow.
So,
If someone wants to sign up, should they just go to the website? And if so,
yeah, they should go to the website, zerotofierce.org. Let me
Okay.
see if I can figure. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how those weather people do that.
we have people that can handle that from our end, I think.
Great. Yeah.
To take
So
the URL.
zerotofierce.org, they can register, they can find out everything that's going on. Like I said, there are free events for families. There's the afternoon adventure where you can, do fun things. There's the morning where we'll be doing, Laura will be leading a walk at the marsh. And then there's the after 5 that includes performances and movies, and Kate Martin's we're gonna zoom in from the Lager Bar, and she's gonna talk to us about what's going on there. And there's also great panels. There's a Love in Action panel. Maybe you want to talk about that. I'll say quickly, there's an activist panel, and then Laura is doing a Love in Action panel. So tell us about that, Laura.
Yeah, Laura, please.
Yeah, Love in Action panel. That's Sunday the 14th at 1. And we have 4 wonderful guests, Rabbi Naomi, and we have, I don't know all their full names, so I just know them by first name, Beth. We have, I know that she is with a couple of churches. Do you know?
Bethany Seth.
We have Gina Belton, and we have Valletta. And we're talking about spirituality and activism. So Love in Action. Love in Action is justice, and we're hearing from these wonderful women who've devoted many years of their lives to action and love. And we love to hear what they have to say about it.
It's fascinating. It sort of fits along that zero to fierce continuum that you were talking about, where there are levels of resistance, or acts of resistance can move from passivity to right out, if necessary, activist conflict. But it's all about expressing.
And then you have
yourself.
Judge Abby. Judge Abby is going to be at the festival too, so she's coming at it from not from an angle of not love, but very much in the legal, in the courts, in the institutional structures. So she's gonna be doing a talk at the festival too.
In
So
the
that's
struggle, so to
exciting.
speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us, and like I said, we'll hopefully people at home can see the URL that we put up. That's Zero to Fierce, and sign up. And the dates on that are
March 8th through March 14th.
March 8th to the 14th. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us. Be safe.
Yes,
Be well.
absolutely.
Thanks for having us, James.
Yeah, thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye. We'll be back right after this short reminder to tune into KEET from February 27th through March 15th for our spring fundraising drive. If you enjoy the unique and local programming we provide, please become a member and help support KEET.
KEET TV's Spring Fundraising Drive is here. From February 27th to March 15th, enjoy a variety of special programs featuring unique concerts, travel, health and wellness, and illuminating biographies. Become a member today. Already a member? Give a little extra. It all goes towards the shows you rely on for news, knowledge, and entertainment. Donate now at KEET.org or call our donation line at 707-497-5050.
Public Health Officer Ian Hoffman this week addressed the recent reinstatement of youth sports in Humboldt and Del Norte counties. While kids and their families will obviously welcome the chance to compete, such a move requires limits on who can attend, as well as a requirement for regular testing.
So we've been working closely with HCOE for testing in the schools, and that testing can also be extended to athletes at those schools. Spectators are not allowed at any events for youth or adults. What is allowed for the youth sports are age-appropriate supervision, so an adult or potentially multiple adults, depending on the situation and the age, who could be there obviously to supervise the youth, but also transport them, be there in case of an injury, something like that. So we're working closely with HCOE and Humboldt Del Norte League to, define what that age-appropriate supervision is.
Dr. Hoffman said that vaccines will become available for area food and agricultural workers once the county has better avenues of supply. The new Johnson & Johnson vaccine will help, he said, noting that the sector includes both restaurant workers and grocery store employees.
Yes, all those people mentioned fall into the food and agriculture workers. It also includes the production side, so people who produce food, both in a farm or in a warehouse, large-scale kitchens. It's a huge, runs the gamut. I think that just like every phase that we've opened and how we open it will depend entirely on the amount of vaccine that we have. So we're hopeful that with Johnson & Johnson coming in the coming weeks, that we could see an expansion of the number of vaccines that we're getting each week. We also know that the federal government has continued to promise to send more. It looks like that is actually starting to happen in the next few weeks. So when we have enough vaccine, we'll open up to more tiers.
Although the state on March 15th will declare that vaccines should be made available for people aged 16 to 64 who suffer from indicated illnesses, the county won't likely be prepared to immediately deploy those shots, Hoffman said.
I think it's unlikely that we will have enough to cover everyone by the middle of March. So it'll be, how it's continued to be, which is when we open up to one group, we understand that there will be a waiting period for some of those people. But as it's been the whole time, we have to sort of time these openings so that we don't have too small of an eligibility pool, that we have vaccine appointments that go unfilled, and balance that with, keeping the field narrow enough that those people can get an appointment. As far as how it's going to work, we have been in discussions with the medical groups around Humboldt County, and for people who have medical conditions, it's most likely that we'll be working with medical providers to have them call those patients in based on their medical records, and doing outreach, and then have some sort of referral system to allow for people who don't have access to a vaccination site through their primary care provider, or who don't have insurance or don't have a primary care provider here in Humboldt County, to be able to be referred to a vaccination site.
Today, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a far-reaching bill to protect wilderness and public lands, including a portion that deals directly with our own local forests. North Coast Congressman Jared Huffman penned a portion of the bill, a section called the Northwest California Wilderness, Recreation, and Working Forests Act. It includes several new programs to increase fire resilience, restore forests and fish habitat, stimulate local economies through forest stewardship programs, and enhance recreational opportunities, including through trails and visitor centers.
I thank the gentleman, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am excited to be one of the sponsors of this great legislation, and I'm grateful that it includes, as Title II, my bill, the Northwest California Wilderness, Recreation, and Working Forests Act. This is a bill that addresses some lands in my district that are some of the most biodiverse ecosystems and exciting outdoor recreation opportunities you'll find anywhere in California. Being active in the outdoors and experiencing wild places is a way of life in my district. And over the past year, with lockdowns and isolation, we have seen how important getting outside has been for our well-being. We all depend on the ecological, economic, and mental health benefits that our public lands provide, and that's why my legislation takes a multifaceted approach to public land management. First, it includes an ambitious restoration plan to improve forest health, promote fire resilience, and protect communities. Second, it recognizes the importance of the outdoor recreation economy by increasing recreation opportunities and tourism. Investing in our public lands means we're also investing in communities near our public lands, and that's why there is so much broad support in my district for this bill. And then finally, this legislation protects important wild places, and these areas include critical habitat and ecosystems, as well as some of the best fishing and hiking and whitewater runs in the state. It takes conservation seriously because it is urgently needed for the future of our planet.
Huffman's office pointed out that the approved legislation will not limit hunting or fishing, close any legally open roads or trails to vehicles, or impact private property. The package is strongly supported by the Biden administration and would help meet state and federal goals to conserve 30% of public lands and waters by 2030. The bill now heads to the Senate for consideration. A long-running local effort to combat illiteracy, like many organizations, struggled to raise revenue in a time of global disease. The Humboldt Literacy Project, which teaches adults to read and helps improve the quality of life for families and individuals, has served Humboldt County since 1981.
The Humboldt Literacy Project has been helping adults improve their reading and writing since 1981. We work with the California library system. Every county library in California has a free adult literacy program. We're always looking for more people, especially, yes, we have had a big drop off in volunteers and clients during the pandemic. People have had to reassess their priorities. People have more family commitments. Some people have had to move out of the area. Some people have had to take on extra jobs or extra shifts as essential workers. So our door has always been open to new volunteers who want to help somebody increase their skills, new clients who need to improve their skills to maybe get a promotion, maybe some really essential stuff like reading a medicine bottle or a recipe, or helping the kids with their homework, communicating with doctors, communicating with your kids' teachers. And you're always welcome to call us at 707-445-3655. And we've got a pretty informative website. Anyone who wants to learn a little bit more about us and what we're doing, you can go to HumboldtLiteracy.org.
Eureka Mayor Susan Seaman this week addressed the happy news that kids in local schools will once again return to class. An actual room in an actual school building with playgrounds and gymnasiums and stuff. That kind of class.
Another big change that we'll see in Eureka on March 1st is a return to in-person instruction at Eureka City schools for all grade levels. Families now have the option to have their students attend in-person instruction or continue distance learning. This will include Eureka High and Zoe Barnum High School thanks to the red tier status. As students return to school, regular bus service will not be available and school hours and days will be staggered. Parents will probably spend at least a couple weeks trying to figure out how to fit transporting their kids with irregular school schedules back into their somewhat regular workday. Employers, please consider providing parents in this situation additional flexibility while they navigate getting everybody back into a workable schedule. All children will continue to have access to meals, but there will be a few changes to meal distribution to accommodate both in-class students and those who are not in school. Curbside service for Eureka High School will run from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. and Alice, Bernie, Grant, Lafayette, Washington, and Zane will have curbside service from 11 a.m. to noon. During the past year, even those of us who do not have kids in school have been reminded of the important role our schools play in the lives of our children. They are not just a place for education. They provide daily stability for working families, physical and social outlets for kids who are growing and learning to function as part of society, food for children who may not have it readily at home, and they serve as a body of watchmen who identify children who may be living in unsafe environments. Our teachers have been superstars through this, providing their lessons over video conferencing platforms. There is no doubt that in-person education is integral to healthy families and healthy communities. If our goal is to keep our kids in school, it is up to everyone to make sure we're following the best COVID-19 protocol to prevent outbreaks and keep our educators and students safe.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Here's a look at our local COVID numbers. This week, we reached the sad milestone of 33 COVID deaths. So far, health officials have delivered 26,789 vaccination shots. More than 8% of local residents have received at least one vax shot, while more than 5% have gotten both. We've had a total of 3,188 cases. Stay tuned, stay informed.